How did you navigate the job application process? Because I know that's something that's daunting for a lot of people.
What do you mean by navigating?
So, like, how did you
I might
get?
as well just
So,
I might as well just bang my head against the wall. That was the way I was navigating, man. It was rough, man. Especially being a junior engineer, like trying to break into the industry. Because at that point, I was living in Houston, Texas, so there were jobs there, but they were looking for senior talent. But obviously, I don't have that experience, so I was just applying for jobs all over the country, talking about Pittsburgh, New York, California, Florida, anything that had, iOS developer in it, I was applying for it. I'm pretty sure I applied for maybe no lie, more than 300 jobs.
wow,
Zero response.
wow.
Zero. So yeah, that was very rough. But it wasn't until I actually started to get into the community online via Slack groups where with hanging out with other techies to where they would actually give me introductions to, oh, you're doing XYZ. Let me introduce you to so and so they can give you some insight. It wasn't until I actually started talking with people and getting internal referrals where I was starting to get any type of leverage. Like, okay, I might have not have got the job, but I got a call with the recruiter. So no, and now I know what to say. And like, it's kind of like, I'm still taking incremental steps towards success.
And that's a very key element that you
Hmm.
unlock there, because like it's never like 0 to 100. I don't think it works that
Never,
way. So,
never.
how important are those incremental steps?
I feel like, that saying, there's no such thing as an overnight success. That is like, that should be tattooed on everybody's forehead if you're trying to break into anything because LeBron isn't as great because he just did it overnight. And name any XYZ person that you just hold to any high regard. You have to take those baby steps, put in the hard work that nobody sees. Everybody look at me like, oh yeah, you're a big guy. You got the house, the wife. You live in Silicon Valley. You did it all. But I'm like, no, you didn't. You wasn't seeing when I was legit waiting tables, coming home, smelling like shrimp, and then getting right back on my computer trying to learn what is a for loop. That I was in the gutter for real. Like that's how, small steps, got to where I am now. So yeah, just don't you can't cheat the process. There's no such thing as cheating the process.
So, what was your experience like during job interviews? So, when you started to kind of like get in front of hiring
Mhm.
managers and stuff, what was that experience, and how did you prepare for them?
I prepared for them the best that I could. I bombed a lot. I bombed a lot of interviews, but even in my bombing, fortunately enough, those companies were still kind of to give me some type of feedback. I'm talking bombing like to the point where they'd give me a problem, and I would just sit there in silence, and we'd just be looking at each other like, I don't know. I'm like, it's like I can already tell like, oh man, like this guy, he's like he has no idea. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know, I don't know. But I feel like one of my very best introductions to interviewing was when I applied for Reach, and it's LinkedIn's apprenticeship program that focuses on people who don't have conventional backgrounds. So if you didn't major in computer science and you just got into tech, that's the program for you. I wrote a paper, told them my story. Apparently, they loved it, so I was able to fly out to Sunnyvale, and where I interviewed with maybe four engineers. They gave me a take-home project was to build Hangman, so I had to build the UI, the logic, XYZ. And during the interview, as they were asking me to build more features, I I stumbled because at that time I was still pretty much a rookie, but I was trying to like still grind it out as much as I can, and I didn't get selected for the apprenticeship program, but some of those engineers were able to still kind of like, hey, keep your head up. We added each other on LinkedIn. They still follow my career growth, and they were able to give me some advice after. So if you can, if you do happen to bomb the interview, that's fine. It's perfectly normal. I don't think I've met an engineer that has a bombed an interview, but I think a key thing would to be still keep in contact with people who did interview, so they can like, hey, I know I didn't get the job, but what could I do differently? Assuming that like you're not breaking any NDA laws, which I don't think you are. But yeah, just kind of like just make relationships with anybody that you see in the industry because you never know what they could do for your career later.
So, essentially, it's all about progression and like keeping the maintaining those relationships.
Absolutely.